Unlike Alliance degenerates, Dora believes in fair play. As such, she attempts to engage 2 mages instead of 1. As a 3rd mage joins the fight, Dora becomes slightly worried. Her shit gear won't allow her to kill all of them, as she'll simply run out of mana. As a 4th degenerate joins the fight, Dora has to settle for killing 1 mage before getting Piper parried once again. Dora is obviously not a monument of wisdom. Dora thinks it may not be a coincidence that warriors are often seen traveling with other warriors, much like a couple. She pulls what is known as an Elton John in the United Kingdom, taking both men on at the same time. But while the spirit is willing, the mana pool is not. One of the warriors decides to use a healing potion, leaving Dora out of mana and unable to finish him off. As Dora prepares to once again visit the graveyard, she can't help thinking that she's not particularly good at math either. Dora generally avoids mingling with inferior classes, but every once in a while, she cannot bear to witness the injustice of seeing one of the less gifted players being Piper parried by subhumans. She once again attempts to trick the Alliance. Perhaps if she dots a few of them, she'll manage to drag them into a fair fight. After all, 2 more Horde players are just behind her, apparently heading into the fray. But as she watches the 2 Horde subhumans cowardly riding away from the battle, she finally understands that inbreeding was never limited to the Alliance side of the ongoing conflict. Her efforts are largely wasted. As the furious warrior approaches Dora, she notices that she's being targeted by Gladiator. Panicking, she attacks the warrior. The warrior knows his time has come. There's little left for him to do but to pointlessly intercept a cowardly mage who settled for fighting a green rogue. Dora is forced to assist the mage and rid Azeroth of 2 more Pilavs. As she reflects upon the warrior's choice of name, Dora is forced into a far more challenging fight against a fearsome opponent, one far more dangerous than the average Alliance player, the Alterac Ram. It's a close call, but with some help from her Mongoloid companions, Dora survives to fight another day. On her way to a charity event, Dora stops to say hello to a few Alliance players. It's a mistake. As with most Alliance players in Alterac Valley, these 2 are bots. However, as the Butlerian Jihad is still a few years away, Dora does not discriminate. Honor is honor. The charity event is driven by DEI principles. Dora must team up with a disabled class, the most pathetic one out there, a warrior. With the help of a few Alliance volunteers, Dora must make the warrior feel like he's not utter shit. It's the sort of thing you encounter when you allow your little brother to win a game against you. Constant defeat would make the little one feel bad, and eventually he won't want to play again, as the game will feel like punishment. Dora's purpose is simple. Make the warrior feel like he matters, like he can actually DPS, like he can actually PvP. As subtly as she can, Dora ends a few unfortunate souls while struggling to fake the kind of incompetence that can only be found in a British institution where managers simply hire their mistresses and a good number of their relatives. It works. The Alliance volunteers die, and the warrior will now have an incredible story to tell his friends on the short bus. Even his caretaker will know that he managed to end multiple Alliance players with barely any assistance. He might go as far as not deleting his useless character tonight. Dora finally finds a hunter, and she's about to have a 1 versus 1 fight. This, however, will be a costly fight, as Dora is forced to use no less than 2 elixirs of poison resistance, thus wasting 10 silver in the process. As unfortunate as that may be, Dora knows that DI is serious shit, and including disadvantaged classes in her video will certainly increase her chances of buying dire Maul buffs at a discount. Dora once again fails to engage in 1 versus 1 combat, as the hunter tries to find cover behind ranged NPCs and his warrior friend. Having run out of elixirs of poison resistance, She chooses to simply end the hunter's pathetic life the old-fashioned way, by out-DPSing him. It's not elegant, but a kill is a kill. As Dora rides around bored to tears, she notices an endangered species, the hunter. Believing that she finally found a hunter she can fight against, Dora cheers. Finally, a 1 versus 1 fight. She decides to kill the hunter in order to hone her skills. The most useless class in the game attempts to save the hunter. Dora ignores him, as she's afraid that targeting him would further enable his delusion of actually being relevant. A warlock spots Dora looking dejected and tries his best to entertain her. He first casts a few dispellable dots. Failing to entertain her that way, he decides that running is the best course of action. Dora fails to understand the logic. What's the point in running? You'll only die tired. Distracted by the midget, Dora fails to notice that she's about to accidentally walk into another fight. A confused hunter burns her mana and attempts to kill her. Far from being amused, Dora has to settle for killing him with her wand. As the hunter dies, Dora can't help thinking that she's the victim of a conspiracy aimed at leaving her with no dream. Dora ignores the inbred retard, who thinks he's the raid leader, as she always does. Her punishment arrives swiftly, in the form of 2 degenerates who see Dora as easy prey. As the warrior starts hitting Dora, the mage contributes by healing her back to full. Dora is in awe at the incompetence displayed here. But what our 2 retards fail to notice is that they're in the middle of the field that everyone has to ride through in order to reach the enemy base. As such, they end up getting zerred by the spine-shatter horde window lickers. This merely serves to reinforce the old stereotype. When people try to fuck you, they don't expect to be fucked back. Dora is not much of a philosopher. Dora encounters a future Grand Marshal, a master of the arcane arts. He fights tooth and nail, and he hits Dora with a perfectly timed Frost Nova. Baffled at being mistaken for a rogue, Dora deletes the mage. As Dora gets more and more popular in Alterac Valley, she attempts to trick a subhuman into fighting her 1 versus 1. After all, she does need lots and lots of honor this reset. Of course, Dora is well aware of the tribal nature of the subhumans. When threatened, they attempt to zerg an attacker. Her attempt fails and Dora experiences a moment in the life of Piper Perry. Dora must count herself lucky that STDs are generally discarded when one's spirit is finally released. That's not to say that inbred zerging is always sufficient to send her on a short trip to the afterlife, which is why she rarely hesitates before jumping into an apparently hopeless battle. Some say that this could potentially inspire retards to fight, and she deeply wants to believe that that's possible, that even subhumans could one day evolve to the point where they have one redeemable quality. Therefore, when she finds herself fighting alongside an actual human being, she chooses to focus on that human's courage instead of focusing on the pack of cowardly dogs, which will only join the fight when the outcome is certain. As she rides around, Dora hears a familiar sound. It's a rogue, waiting around in stealth. She happily dismounts and starts looking for the rogue. What started as the certainty of an epic fight soon turns to disappointment, as she realizes she wasted her mana on killing just another bot. A useless Tauren riding around adds insult to injury, as Dora only receives 1/3 of the honor reward. Fucking hell, mate. As she carelessly wanders across the field, a rich rogue saps her. He is in fact so rich that he has a Crusader enchant, whereas Dora has precisely 0 enchants. There is a brief moment of panic as she notices that the PvP trinket is on cooldown before realizing that she's got nothing to worry about. The rogue is from Spine Shatter, a PvP realm full of incompetent mongoloids. As such, she's not surprised at all by the tactics employed by the PS hero's son with an extra chromosome. His multiple attempts to sap seem to be designed to wait out her shield. She simply recasts it. As the rogue fulfills his role of feeding her free honor, she is left wondering what he would have done against a dwarf priest with a PvP trinket. Perhaps that's why he chose Alliance. It's said that the rogue wins in PvP due to the element of surprise, but the only surprise for Dora is that she finally got a 1 versus 1 fight. The warrior tries as hard as he can, but it's not just hard enough. Perhaps Dora is to blame here, as Dora is a female. The only thing Dora learns from this fight is that some Alliance players are rich enough to waste iron grenades in battlegrounds. Dora would love to ask the warrior which website sells cheap gold. Unfortunately, cross-faction communication is forbidden, so Dora has to settle for disposing of the retard. As Dora notices a wounded warlock in dire need of attention, so does an enemy warrior. He mercilessly charges the warlock and sends him to the graveyard, but this comes at the cost of his worthless life. Dora is not about to forgive him for the cold-blooded murder. With no choice, the warrior engages Dora, doing his best to kill her. Of course, his best is nowhere near good enough. At this point, Dora is almost embarrassed to be seen killing warriors. However, much like the warrior's mother's shift at the glory hole, the honor grind is long and hard, so Dora can't afford to leave this one alive either. She courteously laughs the warrior away, hoping that no one else was there to witness the genocide. Alliance tactics can be tricky. They send 3 warriors on the edge of the hill and keep healing them from a safe distance. Dora mind controls one of the warriors, hoping to move him out of his healer's range. Her plan is foiled by a second Alliance fucktard, who dutifully kills his own friend. It becomes obvious that Alliance warriors are the result of centuries of inbreeding, and Dora is left speechless.